always used if they're not careful. And how they're used depends upon the one who it is that is trying to use them.
Well, how do you think Malcolm X is using women?
Well, I don't think that, in fact, I know he's not divinely guided. I know anything that he is doing or trying to do is motivated from a desire to stay in the limelight, keep his image out there in front of the public and look like the big fella.
Minister Philbert, who has an important statement to make to the press, I would like to give you a bit of information about him. He has been a follower of Messenger Elijah Muhammad since 1947. He became a minister of Messenger Muhammad in 1953. He is married and has 6 children, and is currently the minister at the Mosque of Islam in the following cities: Lansing, Grand Rapids, Flint, and Muskegon, Michigan. After he makes his statement, we will allow 15 minutes for questions. Now at this time, Minister Philbert.
Ordinarily, I would not suggest the airing of differences between brothers to outsiders, and especially over a news media. But because of the grave consequences of recent events, I submit to this medium. Because I, Philbert X, a minister of Muhammad's Mosque of Lansing, Grand Rapids, Flint, and Muskegon, Michigan, love Islam, our teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and all of his followers, I think someone should say something to speak out against the acts of my blood brother Malcolm. Since I'm one of those who brought my brother Malcolm to Islam, I'm taking this task on myself. Because I am and have been a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for more than 17 years, because I have seen the beneficial effects Mr. Muhammad's message has had upon me, my family, and all of our people who have accepted Islam, because in my eagerness to have all of our people gain full and complete freedom, justice, and equality through the acceptance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's divine message, I sought to introduce and convert my wayward brother Malcolm to the banner of Islam under Mr. Muhammad's leadership more than 10 years ago. Because I have seen and bear witness as to how Malcolm was raised from a level of nothing to a place of honor and respect throughout the world as a result of Mr. Muhammad's direction, because now I see my brother pursue a dangerous course which parallels that of the precedent set by Judas, Brutus, and Benedict Arnold and others who betray the honor and trust relationship between them and their leaders. Because I see my blood brother go against the prayer of Islam, which every believer asks to be guided on the right path, and not on the path of those who go astray after they have heard Islam. Because I see where the reckless effort of my brother Malcolm will cause many of our unsuspecting people who listen and follow him unnecessary bloodshed and life. Because I know, as Malcolm, as Messenger Muhammad teaches, that anyone who deviates from Islam is a hypocrite. Because I am aware of the great mental illness which besets, unfortunately, many in America, and which besetted my mother, whom I love, and many of my other brothers, and which now may have taken another victim, my brother Malcolm. Because I know the works of Mr. Muhammad in reforming the so-called Negro so he can take his place in society is absolutely a divine work, and we can only get his divine guidance as long as we follow Mr. Muhammad. And because at the time of President Kennedy's assassination, Mr. Muhammad knew some white people hated President Kennedy enough to kill, and that some white people also loved enough to kill for him. Mr. Muhammad ordered all of his followers not to make any statements about President Kennedy's assassination to avoid unwarranted and unjustified attack on his followers. Because I see where my brother Malcolm, angered by the little misfortune of being suspended for speaking out of turn and against instruction, now resorts to slander, slurs, and intimidations of Mr. Muhammad's family, and the Muslim followers of Mr. Muhammad. Because my brother Malcolm, greatly angered over his being temporarily silenced for 90 days, now resorts to falsely charging Mr. Muhammad's family and the officials of our headquarters and seeking his ouster, because all of the Muslims know he defected and now speaks falsely about personal affairs of the Muslims, Mr. Muhammad, and any Muslim of influence, because my brother Malcolm will do anything and say anything to gain mention and his picture in news coverage, because my brother Malcolm has always prided himself on being a great user of people, especially women. Malcolm now seeks to prevail upon women who unfortunately were weak and went contrary to Islam. And because I have learned as a last resort, he wants to use these women who have been dismissed from our group, and in an effort to accuse and smear any Muslim of influence in our group of misconduct, I take this opportunity to prevail upon you and beseech your media to appraise or caution or warn those who may be taken in by my brother Malcolm's desire to promote his own selfish end to maintain his public image. As for my brother Malcolm setting up a rival mosque of Islam, I can only quote to you from our holy book, the Holy Quran. And those who built a mosque to cause harm to Islam and to help disbelief and to cause disunion among the believers and a refuge for him who made war against Allah and his messenger before, and they will certainly swear we desired naught but good, and Allah bears witness that they are certainly liars.
And now we will allow 15 minutes questions if there are any members of the press would like to ask questions.
It'll cause many people who probably would escape with their life and without bloodshed to lose blood and also their life if they do resort to these things.
Muslim movement?
Well, I think I can hardly believe that, because for this reason, I don't know how a man that has been taught as thoroughly as he has been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad could ever imagine that he could take over, since he has no divine guidance from the one who admissioned the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But sometimes when one goes astray or severs his connection or relationship with the messenger of God, he is blinded by the God, who is Almighty Allah, and therefore he stumbles in darkness and thinks that he's doing something good, and actually he is setting up and bringing about his own destruction. This could very possibly be.
Well, what do you think he is trying to do?
I think Malcolm is angry because he was chastised or corrected for a mistake.
He was suspended, was
Excuse me, sir?
He was suspended, was he not?
Yes, sir, that's right.
For speaking out at the time of President Kennedy's
That's right.
assassination.
That's right. Going contrary to instructions.
And you think that is the sole reason that he has taken the steps he has?
This is all I know.
You mentioned that women in particular might be endangered by following Malcolm X's new steps. Why should that be?
I don't say women in particularly, but I think that women will probably be very instrumental in helping to seduce many men. And
Where am I supposed to be looking? You mentioned the possibility of bloodshed and possible loss of life for those who follow Malcolm X. How might this come about?